mass market spaces where indie developers are creating new games and new entertainment is where the world is going. That is the future, not only of gaming, but of entertainment. So I have a background in traditional finance, worked for very large investment banks, acted as co-founder of the Evercore equities business at Evercore Partners, worked at Guggenheim, UBS, always in emerging technologies meets media, entertainment. And I was always kind of the person who would focus on video games, which was kind of the stepchild of media for many, many years. In 2018, I was walking down the street in New York City and I saw a billboard that had a Topshop ad. And I noticed that the girl in the ad was wearing an outfit that was very similar to the most popular skin in Fortnite. And I had just met the gentleman who finalized the ERC 721 standard for NFTs. I had a large media company who had asked me to look into this idea of blockchain. And all of those things happened at the same time. And I thought, this is where I want to spend my time. This intersection of the future version of the internet, which offers all of these things that the current version does not. I started digging into Ethereum and Bitcoin for mass market applications like video games. And my conclusion to this media company was, well, good news, time to move on. Neither of these will ever work for mass market applications. And then shortly after that, I stumbled upon Polkadot through meeting the founders. And I thought, wait a minute, this could actually work. The ethos was very much in line with the concept that I had been thinking about, which is that the expectations of users in the Web2 world were not being met on so many different levels. And Web3, which was originally envisioned by Gav back in 2014, was offering something different, which was, user privacy, authenticity. And I thought as we spend more and more time in these places, we are going to also want property rights. And so I kind of went down the rabbit hole in Polkadot, and then they hired me in 2019 to basically act as an advisor on the launch of Polkadot. So what happened, again, 6 months prior to the start of the launch of Polkadot was the SEC at that time had said, come in and talk to us, the famous statement, come in and talk to us. And at the time, the SEC had just put out a notice that the Telegram network's native token would be halted. And so we thought, the tech is just too important. We want to do whatever it takes to launch this network. And so we went in to talk to the SEC. And so that first meeting in 2019 was the first of many over 3 years. And we really set up kind of a mechanism to analyze the decentralization guidance that we did have from the SEC. And there were several things that we found in terms of guideposts, at least, to follow. And, there was this framework for investment contract analysis for digital assets that they had put out in 2019. There was the DAO report, and the DAO report said that any DAO that issues a token, that token is likely a security when it is issued because it would be considered an investment contract according to the Howey test, which was the test that is used to determine securities. The other thing that we looked at was this environment of the SAFT, which said that even if a security was sold initially to a private, investor, then this network could decentralize and voila, it would no longer be a security. We learned from the Telegram case and other guidance at the time that no, when you deliver that token to the original purchaser, at the outset of the network, it is a security. So we thought, okay, we have time here to set this up so that this network can be truly decentralized. We delivered actually a regulatory compliant, it was called Regulation S offering. It's a pretty painstaking process, and we don't believe that other networks really did that, but we didn't do it to be heroes. We did it just because, again, we wanted to deliver the network. One of the things that is so attractive about Polkadot is the fact that it's future-proof. The tech is built in a way to be available to mass markets. And also from a regulatory compliance perspective, it's built in a way that will last. Conversations with the SEC were really us reporting to them on the decentralization process. So we went through, kind of a checklist that was in the white paper, a very, very long checklist. And we made sure that every promise in the white paper was delivered. Let's say a few people get together in the beginning and they launch some sort of a entity to do a certain thing. Of course, those people control it. Now, in a decentralized network, one has to give up control over time. And that's hard. And that's why we haven't seen other networks give up as much control as Polkadot has. So we went through a very deliberate process of detangling these affiliates and reducing the control that the original founders, entities, etc., had, and turning over control to the community. And one of the major ways we did that was through the Treasury. So the Treasury, it is the world's largest DAO. It is not a DAO in the sense that a lot of people might think it is, because the DAO did not issue a token. It's pretty confusing, but I'm going to break it down like this. So the Web3 Foundation issued the native token, which was the DOT token. It was a security when it was issued, or at least that was what regulators determined that it was. And then it had to go through this process of decentralization. So the Web3 Foundation granted to the community the tokens, which is the Treasury. So there was no issuance of any sort of token by this DAO. What we've seen in the past with DAOs is a group of people get together, issue a token, and then kind of manage a joint bank account, making investments around that money. This is completely different. This was a grant that then the community of DOT holders has the power based on their ownership to manage. And at the same time, what we did was we made sure that there were agreements in place, like between the Web3 Foundation and Parity, that certain holdings of DOT were at a level that didn't trigger this kind of affiliate control. The process of really turning over control to the community cannot be understated. Every time there is a change, it has to be proposed. And, we've just gone through this process, as you know, with Dot Play, which was really exciting. And it required going in front of the community through the AAG process, the Kusama. We went on that show every week and answered questions, and because everybody has a vote, and explained the process, et cetera. And that's really the beauty of the system. Back in 2019, people were talking about networks that were decentralized in name only. And what that meant was the technology, in terms of decentralized blockchain technology, was intact, but the business processes, the communications, the control that certain people and entities had was similar to a company. And so it was very important to not only deliver a truly decentralized technology, but to also deliver a system of business practices, communications, disclosures. We took great care to make sure that we communicated and disclosed anything and everything we possibly could. There's this concept of material non-public information in public markets. And so we tried to follow that. It's not fair for the average person walking down the street not to have the same information in a totally public market and in a decentralized network. We went to great lengths to make sure that there was no material non-public information. At the time, the Polkadot network was launched and had fully decentralized. I think the most important moats that Polkadot has are the security, the governance, the way the system was designed. Regulatory compliance is another long-term moat. If the DOT token was considered a security, we wouldn't have a truly decentralized network. The ideal was the goal, to deliver a truly decentralized network with a token that was truly decentralized so that we could get on with the real work, which was building on top of the Polkadot network. The reason I think this is important now is because people who have been in the securities world for many, many years have taken notice. And we've had inquiries about the process because it seems to outsiders that we were the only ones who actually went through the process of Regulation S. In fact, one of the gentlemen who wrote Regulation S reached out to us and said, it seems like you went through all of the laborious process that would be required, and Polkadot truly might be the only network that has delivered this standard of regulatory compliance. If you look at the top, I don't know how many tens of, let's say 30, 40 tokens, take out the stable coins, take out Bitcoin and Ethereum, and all of the others except for DOT have been named a security. So we're pretty proud of that. Because it means that we at least are providing a foundation of regulatory compliance to invite others to come to build. And we think that many of those entities that are coming to build on Polkadot are larger entities that care a lot about regulatory compliance. Very important point is that DOT was not designed to be a currency of any kind. It was designed to be vertical, agnostic, coordinating software. Coordinating infrastructure for the new version of the internet. And that's going to become increasingly apparent to, let's say, large enterprises that might come looking for a place to build that is deemed potentially safer than other places. Alongside this entire process that we were going through in advising the Web3 Foundation, we have also been investing in the video game space, and specifically video games meets blockchain technologies, AI, so all emerging technologies. Our largest investments are across 7 companies, and these are big companies like Discord and Epic Games, which is the publisher of Fortnite, and to earlier stage companies. We were early investors in Mythical and Sortium, which is a 3D asset generation tool for video games, and Build a Rocket Boy, which is Leslie Benzies, who created Grand Theft Auto. He founded a company called Build a Rocket Boy, and he's launching a really cool platform for building, which is similar to like a Roblox or UEFN. What we've seen so far in video games, blockchain video games, is not really traditional video games. It's a totally different genre. It's basically a few people get together, they launch a token, they play some sort of mechanism. Often there aren't that many people, and sell the token and move on. And these games usually don't last very long. The one exception was Axie Infinity. I got a lot of grief for not getting involved from an investment perspective in Axie Infinity. The reason I didn't get involved in that, even though it was a massive game and it was a huge learning, experiment, I would say, one, it wasn't decentralized, and two, it didn't feel like a fun game. It didn't feel like entertainment. And so for us, it's more important to go where the players are. So there are 80 million people that come to Roblox every single day to play games. I have a 12-year-old. She plays sports, she goes to school, and she spends her time in Roblox. She would never call herself a gamer, even though she spends a lot of time playing Roblox. It's more like the mall. We call it the new mall. It's where she goes to hang out with her friends. So this is where the script is changing in gaming. The players are becoming creators. The players are launching their own games. And so let's go to where all that action is happening and bring back some of those natural gaming behavior to Web3 instead of trying to start with Web3 with something which isn't really authentic gaming. So that was really the idea. And there's so many lessons that Mythical has been able to teach us in terms of how to tap into kind of real player behavior. So they have a mechanism called quick trades. It's very natural in a game to see on your screen, like, you have this 5 assets, I have these 3 assets. We come together and decide to swap those assets. That's very natural behavior in gaming. And they've created a mechanism in which we can do that. No currency changes hands, but 5 transactions happened that they enabled. There are NFTs happening in the background, but we don't even know that as players. We're just tapping into normal gamer behavior. And we also happen to actually own those assets. Dot Play is very exciting. We are actually operators. We're acting as both a business development unit inside the Polkadot ecosystem. So we're the pivotal hub for gaming. My co-CGO, co-chief gaming officer, Nicholas Duzinas, has joined. He founded a unit network in the Polkadot ecosystem. Other partners are Eliza Yappanen. She is our head of IP development. She's launched a virtual pop star and has 12 billion views on TikTok. Keshav Holani has been working with me as an analyst, financial analyst for 3 years. And we got together and we said, wait a second, we should be this hub for gaming. So anyone who's interested in building the Polkadot ecosystem, we're going to act as the kind of business development arm for gaming and Polkadot. So come to us and we'll help you. I might send somebody to Nick who's interested in building certain tools. Eliza and I might work on some brainstorm around creating virtual characters. The point is that we're acting as business development, and then we're also, through the referendum that we proposed, the .play bounty, we're actually becoming a publisher in Polkadot. We are actually going to be building games and building tech in the Polkadot ecosystem alongside Blockdeep. The publisher business is tried and true in the video game industry with studios, with developers, creators. We create experiences, content, games effectively, and then we also provide a bridge from those mass market worlds. Again, we're starting in the mass market and working backwards to the Polkadot ecosystem, including Mythical, which has already built a lot of tech for video games, which we plan on tapping into. So the bounty right now is 500,000 DOT. And the idea is that we will create structures, because we're acting like a publisher / accelerator. We will be doing revenue share deals with these game developers, similar to a publisher, in the traditional video game space. And then we'll be sharing a portion of the money we make back to the treasury. And then we will be reinvesting and we'll be applying for, refills of the bounty, et cetera. Hopefully this will be so successful that it'll be obvious that we should be deploying this capital for Polkadot. So yeah, hopefully we create a sustainable flywheel where in which this money can be reinvested into other games. I think Web3 technology will sell itself to game developers mainly because of AI. So if you think about this explosion of digital assets that we're seeing, and as people spend more and more time in games, there are more and more digital assets. I think it's roughly 2/3 of the cost to develop video games is in the art, the 3D art. So all of these are digital assets. AI is pouring gasoline on the fire. We are going to see a national security level, threat level, breach of authenticity. People know that AI is going to create inauthentic moments, and we should be concerned about that, and we should be watching out for those. It is going to become a crisis. And then people are going to ask, what could solve this problem? Wait a second. Blockchain technology could secure all of these assets. There could be some sort of an identifier that we could bake into the technology at the outset. Oh, by the way, AI is going to pour gasoline on the fire of IP rights infringements. Think about all of the IP rights infringements that we see all the time, and AI is going to cause those to explode. So there's going to be a point when we hit this critical mass, and I think Disney investing in Epic Games was a really big signal, because I think that Disney can see their IP elsewhere. There are no licensing agreements on other platforms, and they're thinking to themselves, Epic Games is massive. They're new at this game of being a platform for creators. Why don't we invest in Epic? Why don't we legitimize IP rights usage? Why don't we allow kids to create games with Disney characters in which Disney can be a part of that, conversation. The creators, the game developers can be a part of it. And Epic, as the facilitator or the technology provider, can be a part of it. So I think all of these things are leading to this moment where people are going to realize, wait a second, we already have Web3 technology. We already have the ability to bake in identity at the outset of a digital asset. So I'm really excited also to be the head ambassador for gaming. So one of the head ambassadors for the Polkadot ecosystem. And so we view our job to be educators, evangelizers, and representatives of Polkadot. So we're going to be in many gaming spaces, conferences. We're heading to Gamescom later today. And we're also going to be building kind of a cadre of these people under us who are native gaming streamers, influencers, etc., who are kind of vocal representatives themselves and evangelizers and carrying the Polkadot torch. So that's really what we plan to do. And then alongside this, we're going to be building games ourselves. Well, another angle here is that we're bringing in our own IP. So one of those examples is Mercedes Varnado. So she was part of WWE. Her name was Sasha Banks in WWE. She's been brought over to the AEW Wrestling League as Mercedes Monet. And she had a lifelong dream of being a fashion designer and a top women's wrestler in the world, and she's doing both. And so we're going to be taking her fashion items, which she's designed, and we're going to be, tokenizing them and minting them and integrating them into real games and integrating her into real games. And yeah, she has 6.5 million followers, which definitely helps. So she brings a lot of value. We love her ethos. She has, even though she isn't a Web3 native person, she has a Web3 native ethos. And she has this idea that she'll come into this new wrestling league and really raise the bar for women in the sport and change the perception of women in wrestling to one of strength and creativity and being your own CEO. Another one who we're working with is Connor Daly from the Indy 500. So he's perfect for a racing game, obviously. So we're going to be, looking to build or expand racing games that we bring him into as his own asset. Imagine if you have, if you go into one of these games and you see the Polkadot car that he raced at the Indy 500, and that might be an NFT. So we're excited about bringing our own IP in as well. These traditional social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram just don't appeal. In fact, my daughter tells me, no social media, don't, if you take my picture, don't post it. But she wants to be in these places where she's playing, she's hanging out, she's talking to her friends, she's managing a dress store in Roblox. And, it's a much more creative, immersive form of social media. The original vision of the metaverse was that we were going to be spending time in this, fully digital immersive world where we have, we might have things that we own in these digital worlds that we value even more than we value in the physical world. And we're actually seeing that now. And we're seeing this come out in different forms. And I think Roblox is one of those. Minecraft is another. UEFN is another. As people spend more time in these immersive worlds, it makes sense that they would value digital items at least as much as physical items. One kid pointed out to me when there's a Pachimari keychain that you can go to CVS and buy for $5, but if you buy it in the game, it's $10. And I thought, that's strange. Why is that? And a kid said, millions of people that will see it in an online space versus who's going to see my keychain? Because this is about social capital and identity. This is not about speculation and trading. It's about expressing who we are.